Welcome to the Astral Weather Report for February 1st through 6th, 2026. I'm Jeremy Gene Wilson with the Light Army, and I come on here to share the forecast with you energetically. Our astro neutrino weather shifts every 6 days, rather become a distraction or confusion for you or disrupt your life in some way. You can use it to your benefit. You can leverage it, take advantage of it. So this next 6 days, the mental emotional forecast, this cycle really heightens listening. Not just with your head, reflection with your heart, your leadership awareness, but not through just action, right? Through truly where you put your attention. So people might be feeling a little pulled into other people's stories and emotions and histories and past. There's a scoreboard running right now for everybody. So there's this deep responsibility to guide, to advise, to hold space for others. And you might feel tired, a little fatigued, a little wore down from carrying things that aren't actually yours. So there's a little bit of pressure to lead without having all the answers this next week. So the emotional tone is quieter than it looks. This is observational leadership, right? Be the witness, not directive leadership. So this week, I would say it really teaches us, like, those who listen the deepest are elected to lead the most often because they have more clarity. So, the sun and earth themes and the key influences that are really creating this pattern. The sun has moved into the 13th signature in human design. We call it gate 13 and gene keys. It's the 13th key. This is all about the listener, the keeper of the stories. In the I Ching, we call it the fellowship with men. So this can show up in a distorted way, just feeling like you're carrying the emotional weight that's not yours, right? Over-identifying with your past, tying meaning to your identity based on things you've done or where you've gone, and just kind of a silent burden overall, a little more heavy pressure on the system. As a parent, you're going to feel more of that provider, protection energy, and then want to weigh against the identity of that. So the greatest way to align is, all of our wisdom comes from listening, asking positive questions. How can this serve me? How can this support me? Not what this would mean about who I am. Just discernment overall. From awareness, we can make the best decisions by just being more of a witness objectively of the things that have gone on in our past or going on currently in your life. So, learning from our history without having to relive the trauma from that, or the meaning-making machine of the mind, and what it said about who you are. And the core lesson in this is really to, like I said, just listening becomes a superpower when you don't confuse empathy and the feelings of others with your responsibility. It's okay to hold space, but don't take on others' problems like they're yours to solve. The earth has also moved into the 7th signature, gate 7 in human design. This is all about the role of the self. This is all about direction of leadership. In the I Ching, we call it the army. And so this can show up in a distorted way with just leading from either a place of dominion or control without clarity, without mutual understanding, without being a greater witness of, the desires of the whole. So I would say that strategic leadership is going to become really important this week. There's going to be a lot of people, including all of us, that might feel this sense to seek validation, waiting for someone else to give us a permission slip to step up, to go, to lead. And so, to align is, to seek guidance and also offer it, but like I said, strategically. Direction through example is always the greatest form of leadership. So the core lesson of, the 7th signature is just that leadership, the natural byproduct of rooting yourself in awareness is stability. So leadership will stabilize when it's rooted in awareness and not just authority and control. So, this next 6 days, just avoid absorbing other people's emotional baggage. I know I teach this a lot of my private clients in our groups, but just check in. Ask yourself, is this your emotion? Is this your emotion, Jeremy? Right? Not is this mine? Is this yours? Be the soul, having awareness and witness of your thoughts and your feelings. And only give advice when presence is what's needed most, right? And I would say definitely use the opt-in this week. Hey, I would love to Thank you for sharing that with me. People are going to share more stuff with you than they have before. They're going to be more open. They're going to feel more vulnerable in that sharing. And so get the opt-in. Hey, you just shared something really vulnerable. I appreciate that you trust me to share that. Are you open to some feedback with an intention of? And make sure you get the, the definite yes, not just, yeah, sure. Is that a definite yes? You're open if I share some guidance with the intention of helping you with. And I would also say just practice active listening more. My favorite active listening tool, it's a method that's 4 steps. Ask, listen, clarify, confirm. Ask, listen, clarify, confirm. So ask your question, listen, and then to demonstrate that you're listening, hey, what I heard you say is this. Is that accurate? And go back and forth till you clarify, and create a confirmation of agreement where that yes is universal. Lead from obligation and instead of clarity is the number one way to screw this up, right? Like you've got to show up from a place of clarity, or obligation is just going to drain the tank even more. Don't replay the past without integrating the lessons you learned from it. Oh, this sucks that this happened. You're going to be thinking about things that you regret or victim stories. What did I learn from that? How did that make me stronger? How did I harvest something that I can use for us to serve us in service to my next layer, my next chapter, the next phase of my life, in service to the people I'm here that I can help with that knowledge, avoid making those same mistakes. That's what integration is. And definitely don't carry responsibility. It's not yours. I mean, there's God's business, there's other people's business, and then there's our business. So the greatest way you can leverage this is just like, be a good intelligence gatherer, be a detective, deep listening with more than your ears, listen with your heart. Let wisdom form before you take action on things. Let the lessons find you. Lead through example, right? The greatest leadership doesn't tell people what to do. It says, hey, let's do this. I'll go first. Set better examples, more steadiness, more consistency. People will follow. I would also say use the past as data. Don't attach it to your identity. Maybe you've screwed things up. Maybe you lost a game. That doesn't make you a loser. Just use the past as data. What could I have done differently? If I'm in that situation again in the future, what will I do now? Allow the direction and trajectory to emerge naturally from that, instead of feeling like, what do I do? Well, what will I never do again? What will I not do? There's a lot more certainty found there. In fact, most of the people that have created fortunes tell you that whether it's making money or finding success, it's learning exactly what not to do, sometimes for years, and then never doing those things again. And success is a natural byproduct of that. So most areas in life are similar. The way you can get the most out of this, like I said, just practice active listening. Listen before you respond. Don't try and fix things. What I hear you saying is this: if someone shares something emotional, empathize. Be like, man, that has to hurt. That has to really suck. And I hate that. But you don't need to fix people's problems. Ask better questions instead of just giving answers. Ask some questions, What could you do to overcome that? What are some solutions you've thought of? Reflect, really do some deep dive. Reflect on past lessons without emotional charge attached to them, and clarify where you're meant to guide and where you're not. There's some areas where, you can give someone advice, and unsolicited advice is actually harmful. If someone doesn't feel like they have a sense of volition or they ask for that advice, oftentimes they'll do the opposite. So outside that, just strengthen one leadership boundary, whether it's with yourself and your own habits, create rewards and consequences, create a greater dedication of commitment, sign a pledge, strengthen a leadership boundary in your business. Where would your business thrive? What domino that if you just led consistently would topple all the other dominoes and create a huge whirlwind, a butterfly effect of success elsewhere? And as a parent, in your marriage, in your core friendships and partnerships, strengthen a boundary, right? What's one boundary in each of those areas you can set that'll create a greater outcome? And then just be with the questions. I'll give you a couple to think about. Internally, ask yourself, like, what wisdom am I holding? What am I holding? What wisdom am I holding that no longer needs to be carried emotionally, right? A lot of times we harvest a lesson from something, but we're still bleeding and still living in regret of a way we showed up, or some way how we've been victimized. Let that go. You can let it define you, confine you, refine you, outshine you, or you can choose to leave it behind me. Let that go. So also just where can you guide? Where are you meant to guide through presence rather than instruction and direction? Just through presence. I think presence is the greatest form and function of teachership of all time. I know I can say firsthand, sometimes I get super, locked in on business and I can be very serious about getting stuff done, but your kids don't do what you tell them to do, and neither usually does your team. They model your behavior. They do what you do. And what they need most is a happy leader, someone that is bringing joy, someone that regardless of how the cards are set and stacked and how the chips are stacked, whatever's going on in the outside world, we've got to be able to harvest joy by controlling the controllables, right? Minding our own business and doing what we can with what we have from where we are. So that's the forecast for this week. This is the final week. The Breakthrough Lab will be in motion outside of cyclical. We're launching a cyclical format next week. So if you'd like to be a part of the Breakthrough Lab and make more money and live your genius, really step into a community of people that are dedicated to growth, commitment, being accountable, setting goals, and then ultimately encouraging, empowering, and enforcing those goals with each other, I invite you to jump on board. We're still keeping this open for free. The only way to find out about us here, once in a while I post in my stories, so if that's something you want to be a part of, shoot me a message on Instagram or a text, and we'll get you the details. It's Wednesday every week right now at 12 noon Mountain Time. In the meantime, Infinite Love Tribe, got some cool stuff coming down the pipe with AI Twin Brain. I'll save that news for the end of one of our upcoming Astral Weather Reports. In the meantime, Infinite Love, shine on. Bye for now.